Steve woke up alone in a vast and unfamiliar world. He had no house, no village, and almost nothing to help him survive. But Steve knew one thing. If he wanted a better life, he would have to build it with his own hands. So he started with the basics. He chopped trees, collected wood, and gathered everything he could find. Then he searched for stone, coal, and other useful resources. Every block he collected could make his journey a little easier. After gathering enough supplies, Steve had an idea. Instead of staying here, he would search for a new place to call home. He built a wooden boat, pushed it into the water, and sailed away from the land where his journey had begun. For a long time, Steve traveled across the endless ocean. There was nothing around him but water, sky, and the distant horizon. Then suddenly he saw something in the distance. A small island appeared beyond the waves. Steve reached the shore and explored the island. It was small but peaceful. He looked around and made his decision. This would be his new home. But there was one problem. The island was too small, so Steve began expanding it, placing blocks one by one and creating more land. Once he had enough space, Steve started building the foundation of his new house. Block by block, the walls grew higher. Soon, Steve had a roof, windows, a door, and a safe place to sleep. But a home was not enough. Steve needed food. He prepared the soil, created water channels, and began building his first farm. First came carrots. He planted them carefully in neat rows, creating a reliable source of food. Then he planted potatoes. With every new crop, the island became a little more self-sufficient. Finally, Steve added beetroot. Now he had several different crops. Growing beside his home. He also planted trees around the island. He wanted his new home to be green, beautiful, and full of life. Steve still wanted one more thing, a community. So he built 3 small houses for villagers he hoped to find someday. He connected the houses with paths, added fences and lanterns, and carefully organized every part of the island. After days of hard work, Steve finally stood back and looked at what he had created. The tiny island was now a beautiful little settlement. But just as darkness arrived, the peaceful atmosphere changed. Strange sounds came from the trees. Zombies were coming toward the village. Steve grabbed his sword and prepared to defend everything he had built. The battle was intense, but Steve refused to give up. One by one, he defeated the zombies until the island was safe again. Exhausted from the fight, Steve returned home. He placed his sword beside his bed and finally went to sleep. When morning came, Steve looked across his island. His home was safe, his farms were growing, but something was still missing. He needed people to share this beautiful place with, so Steve got back into his boat and sailed across the ocean once again. After a long journey, he finally found a village. There were villagers, houses, farms, and everything he had been searching for. Steve invited the villagers to join him. Together, they crossed the ocean and headed toward his island. When they arrived, the empty houses were finally filled. Villagers began farming, walking along the paths, and building their new lives. Steve's journey had started with nothing, but through hard work, courage, and determination, he had created a home, a farm, and a community. What was once a lonely little island had become a place full of life. And this was only the beginning of Steve's new adventure.